There's a sound that makes me cry every single time I hear it. It's an instrument called the Duduk, Middle Eastern double reed flute. And when I hear it, something happens to me that no sort of logic can explain. My body remembers this sound, my mind does not. Today I'm going to talk about something in my musical world that lives between the space of science and spirit, between what we can prove and what we can feel. I want to talk about music as memory, not just of this lifetime, but maybe memories that travel even further. Hi, my name is Christine Grayson. I am a singer, I'm a multi-dimensional artist, and I am an independent researcher. Today I'm talking about music as memory. We all know music is powerful. We've all had that moment where music or a song transports us to another time, another feeling, maybe even somebody, our connections with each other. But what if music can reach even deeper than that? I believe in reincarnation. And whether you do or not, stay with me, because this video is not about convincing anybody of past lives. It's about asking a much bigger question. If energy cannot be created or destroyed, which physics absolutely proves, then what happens to that energy of our experiences, our lives, our emotions, our memories? Where does all of that go? I discovered something about myself recently. There are two instruments that move me in ways that I can't even control or predict. These instruments are the ney and the duduk. When I hear them, I don't just enjoy the music, I am absolutely overtaken by it. The duduk brings me to a place of grief within myself that is so profound that I've been living in it for a couple of months, no, years. I've been living in it for a long time, stuck in this weird purgatory of memory. I listen to it every night before I go to bed. I see in my mind arid desert. I experience an overwhelming sense of grief and sadness. I actually cry to this music. There is this ache of loneliness that I experience every single time that makes me feel like I'm missing somebody that I haven't met in this lifetime. It's very specific, and the longing is very physical for me. The sadness there is ancient. And when I let myself explore the ney, I see something a little bit different. I can see and feel myself as a very young girl. I can look down at my arms and see youth in my hands. I see myself decorated. There's lots of shimmering, shiny things and metallic things. It's very abstract. It's a feeling of being decorated, ornamental, being surrounded by protection, being surrounded by security, and a lot of traveling, a lot of moving. Still desert, still vast, overwhelming. It's like I'm being sent away from somebody that I thought I loved and sent towards someone very powerful. Now, it's easy to think, you might be thinking, well, that's just imagination. That's your brain creating stories. And you may be right. Maybe it is. But here's what strikes me when I sit with these visions. This sadness that I'm experiencing, that is a deep, very specific grief about being valued for my gender and ornamentality, being very close to power and prestige, but feeling very alone and out of control. the feeling of being owned or kept by somebody very important, while still longing for some kind of love that I wanted to explore and never got to. The book was just shut on that. And it's been showing up in this lifetime too. And suddenly, sitting there crying to the sound of a reed flute, I understand something profound about myself, my relationship with money, my lifelong resistance in here to financial stability, my pattern where I stay in this floating state with scarcity always. Because while it's very common for people to associate wealth with freedom, I associate wealth in this very deep state of consciousness with being in a golden cage, with being owned, with the feeling of not being free. So what if I have been unconsciously rejecting wealth because somewhere deep in my cellular memory, wealth meant losing love, losing freedom? What if that prosperity once cost my heart? And this is where it gets interesting. This is where I want to expand beyond my own story and my own near-death experiences. What if music doesn't just trigger things from this lifetime? What if certain sounds or frequencies, or what if certain instruments, scales, modes, actually carry the imprint of early civilizations? The ney, the Duduk, has been played for thousands of years in the Middle East. The Middle East was a hub, a melting pot of very many races, very many countries, serious world trade on a scale that we don't even comprehend when we think back on history. The Duduk is ancient to Armenia and the Caucasus, the mountain regions there. They're not just instruments. These are vessels of human collective experience. Every person who ever felt a longing and blew into a reed flute, every player who ever channeled their grief into the Duduk, their emotions went right through that vessel into the air, into the listeners, into the tradition itself. So music might be a form of consciousness that transcends individual lives. It might be how we stay connected to not just each other in the present, but to everybody who has ever felt what we're feeling. It's a collective emotional library, and certain sounds are actually keys that unlock certain chapters in our experience as a human being. I'm not asking you to believe in reincarnation, but I'm asking you to notice what moves you. Is there a sound that makes you cry for no reason? An instrument that you feel at home with, even though you might have never played it? Something that makes you feel like you're home again, in a place that you've never even gotten close to in this life? A style of music that brings up emotions too overwhelming, too big for anything that could have possibly happened in your current life. Pay attention to that, because whether it's genetic memory, collective unconsciousness, reincarnation, or something that we don't even have words for yet, there is information there. There's something that's trying to reach you. For me, this exploration is not about just trying to understand something from the past. It's about healing my present. It's about recognizing the grief that I carry still about money, about wealth, about love and marriage. The reason I can't commit to a relationship, maybe. It's about finding those answers and healing and being able to move on. These emotions, this grief, it might not even be entirely mine in this world. And if it's not entirely mine in this life right now, then I can choose to release it. I can hear the ney and honor what it shows me without any longer being imprisoned by that. We live in a world that wants everything explained proven, monetized. There's so much pressure to be of value in very specific ways too, to educate, to keep producing, to build platforms and personal brands. But what if sharing our inner experiences, our inexplicable connections, our strange griefs and ancient longings, what if that's valuable too? I'm learning to trust that my relationship with music, with memory, with whatever is moving through me when I hear a reed flute play, I'm learning to trust that this matters. Not because I can teach somebody something, not because it builds my platform, but because it's real. And real things, shared honestly, create connections. So I'm going to keep listening. I'm going to keep feeling, and I'm going to keep sharing the space that I find between the notes. Thank you for listening.